This episode is brought to you by The Guarantors. Facing rising renter fraud? Don't let fraudulent applications compromise your financial stability. The Guarantors provide a safety net that protects your rent roll and minimizes bad debt. Why risk it? Talk to The Guarantors and secure your property's financial health. Visit theguarantors.com/multifamily today. Let's talk about 2-for-1. And I don't mean BOGO. I don't mean buy one, get one. I'm talking about 2-for-1. But before we get there, let's talk about team meetings. When's the last time you, as a leader, walked away from a team meeting having learned something, taken something away from the meeting that you're going to put into practice to make the organization better, or to make the team member experience better, or the consumer experience better? When's the last time you learned something like that? My imagination tells me that sometimes, not all the time, but there are times where you walk away from a meeting, you haven't really learned anything. And the reason why is because you haven't listened very well. I've been guilty of that. Here's how it happens. You or I think that speaking into a meeting, especially one that you've called, is leadership. You think that you speaking into the meeting, you dominating the meeting, you sucking the oxygen out of the room and pontificating on all the points that are on the agenda, that you are leading. When in fact you are not leading, you're losing. I'd go so far as to say you are losing. You're losing the attention span of the people in the room because they don't want to be talked at. They want to be engaged in and pulled into a collaborative type environment where their input is equally, if not more important than yours. So listening is really about leadership. Listening is leadership. Speaking is not leadership. Listening is leadership. The input from your team members, the input from customers. Let me give you a practical example of how this works. In every organization that I've worked in, I've implemented something out of the book, Scaling Up. And in a team meeting format, there is time to listen to consumer feedback and there's time to listen to team member feedback. Now, that feedback comes by way of surveys that we put out into the marketplace and or anecdotal data that you've learned through regional managers and other layers of the organization. But on the agenda, there is an item where the data is there that we talk about customer feedback. We talk about team member feedback, and we try to identify and determine solutions for anything that might be a thorn or a rock or something in your shoe that you need to fix in your organization. Now, a leader can walk into a room armed with all of that data and put out a bunch of directives. You can put out your 2 cents as to why you think consumer behavior is amiss in your organization or team member engagement is amiss in your organization. You can talk about all the things that you think, and you can walk out of the room and having learned nothing, and your team members feeling defeated in terms of creating solutions for making those 2 experiences better. The real value that you build when you listen, the real value that you build is that people start to trust the system and they start to trust the organization. They start to trust you because you are there to listen. You are there to help, to be a part of a solution. You are there to provide resources. You are there to knock down walls. You are there to help people jump over hurdles that might be in their way to getting incredible customer service, executing your organization, or creating better team member engagement. And those are just a few examples, but 2-for-1. Let's get back to that. The way we led this conversation was 2-for-1. There's a rule out there called the 2-for-1 rule, and the 2-for-1 rule is this. If you put anything out into a meeting, you have to follow that up with 2 questions. So there's the 2-for-1. For every piece of input you put into a meeting, you have to ask 2 follow-up questions so you're getting based on what you might put out there into the meeting environment. That's it. Take care. We'll talk to you again soon.